Right, we are now live. So we're going to be talking about fan engagement. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sadie Groom. I'm the MD of Bubble Agency, and I'm joined today by two directors of creative. They both sort of have the same job title. So we've got Duncan East from Sky Sports and Mike Norrish from BT Sport.
Hello.
Hi. So obviously the world has completely changed from this time last year. I'm a huge sports fan, and obviously it's all a bit weird. Everything taking place behind closed doors, and everything's now coming from virtual fans. So we've got lots of different ways that people are doing that, from instant sync crowd noises to large panels of screens, bringing bought in virtually. I was saying to Mike earlier, I'm an Oxford United fan, and I did have my picture in a cutout, which I think I paid £6 for. So there's lots of things that different people are doing. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to talk about all this, but first, we are going to go to a video from BT Sport. So if you could play the video, that'd be great.
What is football without fans? No sound, no soul, no point? No, not at BT Sport anyway. Introducing Fans Reunited.
You might be watching this on the television, but you're in this together, mate.
Greenwood's a bad man! What's going on here? Unbelievable.
Fans Reunited was BT's creative response to the biggest challenge that sports broadcasters have ever faced. With the stadium shut, how do we make programs worth watching, worth paying for? How do we save the soul of sport? At BT, we went back to our brand principles. With our creativity, our innovation, and our fan-first tech, we strive to reunite fans so we could all shout, swear, laugh, and cheer together, even while staying apart.
Rio Ferdinand, I can't believe it.
Before the football returned, BT's pundits did their best to cheer up isolating older fans with surprise Skype calls set up by family members.
It's made my day. I can't believe it. Oh, good heavens.
We quickly adapted our IP to show fans and families in lockdown, reflecting the reality of our lived experiences. When it was time to get hyped for football's return, we made our Premier League promo exclusively about the fans, shooting at a safe distance, but still capturing the emotion of the moment.
Evening, everyone, on our fan wall.
Every live broadcast, we use brand new technology to bring fans of every club into the heart of our coverage. Colour, passion, insight, and emotion. The fan parks made the difference and elevated our coverage above the opposition as Liverpool finally won the Premier League title live on BT Sport.
Liverpool are the champions.
Our incredible app came into its own with a beautifully simple experience. Fans could watch, react, and enjoy the game together, all in perfect sync. Tech that solves problems for sports fans. The BT Sport brand brought to life.
That's great. Great clips in there. So, Mike, obviously this is your role has probably changed quite a lot since March. I imagine you've had to learn quite a lot. What do you believe is the best practice when it comes to virtualizing the fan experience from everything you've learned?
Yeah, the roles changed a lot. The sort of wardrobe's changed a lot as well. It's quite nice to put a shirt on today. But I think best practice for us, a couple of things I would say. I think first and foremost, when you're faced with a sort of unprecedented challenge like this, it's really useful to refer back to who you are and what your identity is and what your place is as a brand. And for us, solving problems for sports fans through our tech and engineering has always been core to the identity of BT Sport. And that meant that we could, by using that kind of core identity, we were really useful in this moment. You know, there was a lot of problems that sports fans needed solving. So we were able to do that and able to help in a real and relevant way. So that was an important step. And I think innovation and finding solutions that are going to have longevity beyond lockdown. So not stuff which is just a sticking plaster for this moment, but actually stuff which is going to help enhance our coverage or improve our workflows beyond, you know, this lockdown, which fingers crossed we're hopefully coming to the end of at some point. So they're things which I think were important for us. You know, sort of remote production was a journey which we were on anyway, and then it became imperative and critical, and became not just an experimentation, you know, future project, but actually it became everything that we were doing. So we will continue to embrace that beyond lockdown, and actually we think that will be an enhancement to our coverage, not a coping mechanism.
Yeah. Did you feel that you found things that you didn't know was possible? You know, how did that sort of creativity come out?
100%. I mean, saw some of the behind the scenes shots there. People, you know, on EBS machines in their garage, directing matches from their kitchen tables. You know, all that happened within the blink of an eye. You know, because it had to, and it was incredible. Actually, I think once you were forced to innovate, and that wall was placed in front of you, when you do that for a creative team who think laterally and want to solve problems, people climb over that wall or they find a way around it. And that was amazing. And you know, that there was always a huge element, particularly in live broadcasts, of risk. You know, what's the risk of this? You know, we've got an established workflow which we know is secure, but that secure, stable status quo was gone. You couldn't do that anymore. So you had to embrace that risk. And thank God we were able to largely succeed with that way quicker than we would have done. And that sort of step change, that quantum leap, is something that we will now take into all of our production beyond this, and it will help hugely. It will help with our sustainability aims. It will help with getting better guests onto shows. It helps with people's work-life balance. You know, these were all aspirations and aims, and they're now realities. So that's something that we can take from this.
Brilliant. Right, I'm now going to ask Duncan the same question, but first, if we could play the Sky Sports video, that would be great. Thank you.
Football is back. The world has changed, and so have we. It's going to be a bit different for a while. We're making sure that the new normal is a bit more normal. So, what can we offer you? While the stadiums will be empty, they don't have to sound like it. With Sky Sports crowds, you control the atmosphere. If you want to hear the new reality, then you'll want to stick to Sky Sports Premier League. There you'll hear all the sounds from inside the ground, raw and uninterrupted. But there is another option. Simply switch over to Sky Sports main events. There you can watch the match with crowd noise bespoke to your club, mixed by the expert team at Sky.
And he's on target magnificently!
Right, we're going to have a bit of fun now on the football show. So grab your mobile phones, get on a laptop or a computer or whatever it is you've got there, because this is a chance for you to get involved. Go to skysports.com/play. And we're going to start with Chelsea, who've had a very, very busy summer, haven't they? Kai Havertz, the big arrival here.
Lots and lots of comments flooding in, a lot of comments, a lot of questions. It's been a very engaged show. Should we take a few more?
Yeah, Rob Allen there on screen, you might well have caught it, just moved off, was talking about how happy he is to see Benjamin Mendy back, Sean. Obviously, looks like he's going to play through a full 100 minutes of football here after the injury.
Nice Foden. A local hero. And with the miracle of technology, how about this? Sky VIP viewers representing both clubs.
Let's get into round three then, Joe, shall we? And this round has a little bit of a twist for you, because we're going to show you 5 memorable goals that were scored down the years in the Premier League. The question is, who scored them?
Yeah, we love turning the clock back and reliving some memorable moments. So here is the first goal. It comes from back in 1998 in a game between Coventry and Everton. But was it Darren Huckerby, was it Noel Whelan, or was it Steve Froggatt that is scoring here? Remember, still on the clock for this round of goals, and well done to those of you that remember, the 3% of you that getting this one right. It was Steve Froggatt, the first goal in what was a 3-0 win.
There we go. Right.
You knew that was Steve Froggatt, right?
Yeah, I did, absolutely.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All over it. If it'd been Oxford Swindon question, I might have got it. But so Duncan, I was going to ask you the same question. You know, what do you believe is best practice?
I think listening and choice would be I think the key things. Look, I agree with loads of stuff Mike's talked about there, and I don't want to just come on and repeat it just from our side, because I think everything he said was absolutely spot on. But I think just to add to it, I think giving viewers a choice of things, stuff that they're used to, and maybe something new as well, is really important. So the augmented sound you saw in the video there, it's something that is, and I know I think we're going to go and speak about it a little bit more shortly, but it's key that people have the opportunity to experience the new stuff, and let's listen to what the players sounded like, and let's hear the managers hollering and bawling and shouting at their players, and but actually I think people got quite bored of that quite quickly, and then wanted to sort of just go back to normal and go back to hearing the crowds, and then I think there's a split now. People actually do like to stick with that, and people do like to stick with the with the real sound as well. So I think choice is key. And listening to the feedback as well, because there's stuff in that video that we've just shown that we're not doing anymore, because ultimately not enough people liked it or wanted it, and it was well, you've got to try, right? But it's but you've just got to instead of just forcing stuff down viewers, viewers' eyeballs, if you like, you've got to let's listen to the feedback, see what works, and offer an option to them as well, because I think that's key.
Yeah, and
to that as well. Sorry, I just think that the world is changing so quickly. And I remember someone said to me recently, said, we're in lockdown too, and if someone invites me to a Zoom quiz, I think I'm going to lose my mind. It's like, all the stuff that we thought was real and relevant a few months ago now feels, and that moves so quickly. So, like you say, Duncan, with some of the innovations which seemed like a good idea or seemed that the right path to go down, it didn't mean that they were wrong. It just means that the world has moved on so quickly, and lockdown 2 isn't lockdown 1. This Premier League season isn't the last Premier League season. So listening is really important, and also then I think things will come and go more quickly than they would have done in a previous world and a previous sort of reality.
Yeah, so I think we're taking more risk because of that, actually, because we all thought, oh, this is what everybody wants, and we're all sitting on these Zoom calls, and everybody is loving a quiz. So let's do a quiz on a Zoom call, and you're right, everyone's bloody bored of it and tired of it. So actually, let's just move on, and ultimately, I think everybody is just wanting to get back to as close to where we were previously, and it's just keeping hold of those nuggets that work really well that we found, that and making sure we can maintain those as we. I know I won't use the phrase "the new normal" as we get back into
please don't.
I won't. I haven't and I won't.
I mean, you mentioned the audio, and obviously that's been a huge part of it, and across every sport, and obviously not just football. So can you explain a bit about how it works with the artificial audio and how it's been tweaked and all of that?
I'm happy to jump in first, Mike, if that's okay. Sure. But it's something I was heavily involved in at the start. We had various conversations about how are we going to achieve this? How are we going to achieve something that ultimately sounds really good, just sounds authentic, and you forget very quickly that you're not listening to the real thing. So to cut a long story short, we've got a great relationship with EA. They're a Premier League sponsor around some of the stats on the EA. We've done many things with EA in the past around some innovation and some analysis. So we got in touch with EA because we actually, people won't know, but we deliver all of the audio to EA in the first place. So they take all of our recordings, raw sound recordings of every home team, every away team, every sort of combination of match. We give them to EA at the start of every season. So they take all that away and they do all their special mixes and put in their special sort of little twist on things. So we ultimately contacted them and took back their edited files, and then but in different sections, which gave our sound supervisors, our sound mixers, the control to then add home goal, away goal, home anticipation, away anticipation, hit post, away team, hit post, all the, I mean, the buttons they've got is huge. And let's be honest, our first stab at it was, and apologies, talking about audio, if you can hear a whining dog in the background, he wants me to open the door, but I'll get to him in a minute.
Just leave him.
Yeah, but it was, it was tough to start with, you're only as good as the people actually delivering the output. So we've got a group of, we've now got a brilliant group of specialised, augmented sound mixers, which didn't exist previously. And now you can hear him moaning now, can't you? Right, Mike, pick up. So I'm going to.
I think happy to. Yeah, I mean there's a whole new job in broadcasting now, which is essentially a sort of responsive sound engineer, and that's his critical skill set. To have someone who can read the game, who can respond, who's got the technical capacity to react in that moment, and you see that improving all the time. And you also, it's very apparent when that, when someone's fallen short in that role, and that's a entirely new job. So the quality of the operators is key, but I think that everyone is learning and getting better at it, and is making it now. It's quite a successful product now. It's clearly, it's all. We should always remember that it's not ever like we want it to be. I was particularly disappointed when Thiago Alcantara signed for Liverpool. There's that brilliant sort of Thiago Alcantara chant, but it just you know that it wasn't going to be heard, and it was a disappointing. But maybe one day this year we'll hear that again. But yes, I think that the quality of the way that the sort of sound industry has responded has been, it's been outstanding.
Yeah.
And have you been able to take that over to other sports? So like BT Sport and rugby, is it a similar process, or?
Yeah, we had to do a lot more of our own work with other sports. So with rugby, the EA backlog of high quality audio files didn't exist in rugby. So some really smart people within our own team have been producing equivalent crowd effects for rugby, for WSL, and other properties which we have, which again has just been it's been great to see that innovation and that attitude of people wanting to. They wouldn't admit it, but for our engineers, it's been very, very difficult. But it's also a dream project as well, So that's been successful in the other sports as well, where we didn't have the EA high quality backlog to rely on.
Yeah, on that, I think boxing was by far and away the hardest to achieve.
That's fine.
Just if you think about, or clean recordings without commentary on boxing, you can hear every punch, you can hear the referee, all the time.
Yeah.
So trying to get something that would work as a bed across, any fights that you can then manipulate is really hard. But yeah, we've had to create it ourselves, and I think we've come up with a decent solution for some of our big pay-per-views where it needs it.
Yeah. So talking to smart people and innovations, are you going to consider bringing in CG fans if this carries on into the 2021 season?
Cool. I'll wait to see if BT are first, then I'll tell you if we are. Right.
Exactly.
I just look around it. I think, no is the short answer. I think I look at, we're all studying other sports and seeing what's happening well. I was watching WWE, which is on BT Sport now, which was one of the first. Actually, they're not sure they even had a week or 2 weeks off. They continued, but they did it in their performance center, and it was a very diminished product early on. That product really is all about the wrestlers and the talent interacting with the fans, and they've actually taken it a long way now. They've got these kind of cascading screens. They've got their audio game really, really strong. And that's, from a sort of CG fans perspective, they've come an awful long way, and it's actually quite an advanced product now. I think that when you see it go wrong, as we did early on, particularly in, I'm sure a lot of people have seen the sort of cock-ups in La Liga, it's still incredibly difficult to get it right. And as I said earlier, it's about sort of listening to what fans are asking for in that moment, and by that I mean November 2020. And is that what fans are crying out for now? And personally, I don't feel that is the desire of fans at this moment. But as I said earlier, and this isn't a cop out, I know it sounds like one, but we have to be hyper reactive, and things will adapt and change much more quickly than we're used to. So I'm not going to make long-term predictions, and fingers crossed massively that the end is in sight, because this clearly there's no substitute for real reaction
for real fans. Absolutely. Duncan?
Yeah, well, now we know BT aren't. We absolutely will. I'm going to jump on a call straight off the back of that.
Go and take your dog out.
Yeah, exactly. I've just got to take a call. We're exactly the same. In all honesty, the value's just not there. From what you gain from it, from the expense of delivering CG fans into live sport, it's incredibly difficult to do. It's incredibly expensive, and what you get back from it is very little, in my opinion. I think Mike's talked about WWE. I think if you look at Britain's Got Talent and things like that, it works in entertainment because there's that interaction, and that's what it's there for. But for just to see some fans' faces sort of watching a sport where they're not really watching it anyway, the value's not there.
Yeah, so I mean, we've got some questions coming in, but actually, I think one of my questions is going to answer that is about firstly about how you've adapted your broadcast and studio coverage to enable this. So what's different from that side as well, and more importantly, how has that actually been received by the fans?
I mean,
Mike.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it, because the studio was one of our biggest successes, I would say, in terms of actually bringing fans in. We used a number of pieces of new kit, including vMix, and for the return of the Premier League, we had what we called a virtual fan park. So we're able to get on one side, I think it was Watford Brighton, our first game, so 16 Watford fans, 16 Brighton fans, and then Jake, as our presenter, was able to talk to both of them. They were able to talk to each other, and that worked very well. It brought colour, it brought passion, and it brought a sense of sort of replacement for what we'd lost, because football, without fans, we were clear early on that football doesn't have you're losing your soul, essentially. You're losing all of the things which make you human and organic, and so that was a good replacement early on, and allowed us to do a lot of interesting things with fans. From a small screen app point of view, one of the best things which we've launched, which again will extend beyond this lockdown period, is a product called Watch Together. It's a really, really nice piece of kit which is now built into the BT Sport app and is powered by EE's new 5G network, which means that you, Sadie, can invite your Oxford United friends or your Swindon friends,
or two of them.
Really, really simple piece of technology. You can just you log on to BT Sport app, you send a link out by text or WhatsApp, and then 4 of you can come into essentially a bit like we are now, or a Zoom chat, which plays alongside the live match, which is a really, really good response to the challenge of people who would love to watch the match with their mates or with their dad or grandma, whoever they normally watch the game with, and that's something which we've seen great take up on, and it's something that we're definitely keen to expand beyond this lockdown.
Okay, Duncan.
Yeah, interesting. So could you repeat the question? Sorry.
Have you adapted your broadcast and studio coverage?
Broadcast and studio coverage. Yeah. Okay. So I was going to say, studio-wise, actually, the way it adapted, really, we found our love for the studio back at Sky a little bit more, because due to necessity. We love being at the game. And I'm talking very specific around football here, but we always love to try and get to the game as much as possible. Whether we're in a studio at the stadium or whether we're pitch side. But due to restrictions and who was allowed in bubbles and all the different things that were in place, we had to use our studio at Sky a lot more. So I think we found, as I say, we've sort of a bit of a new love for our studio, and I think that the pundits and guests have enjoyed being in a stable environment a bit more, and I think they've now seen the positives of being in a studio environment as opposed to always being on the road, and I mean, we can talk about all sorts of different things here around sustainability, around travel, around not having to send people all over the country. You could talk about, comfort and warmth, about sitting in a nice warm studio. But so there's lots of positives from that side of things for our people. Oh, I could hear a little bit of interruption. That's fine. But then, from a broadcast point of view, the big thing, and it's quite similar. We tried some watch-alongs. You saw in the clip that we played out. We tried different ways of broadcasting stuff. Again, giving people a choice. So actually, if you want to watch along with some of your favourite pundits and listen to their discussion that they're having during the game, you can do that. We tried a watch along with your mates as well, where you dial into the app and watch. In all honesty, we're not doing either of those anymore. Again, just due to we've sort of listened to feedback and we didn't. There wasn't enough uptake. In all honesty, I think it was a nice thing at the time for a brief period of time, but actually people were just reverting back to watching the game in the normal way that they wanted to. But the one big thing that we put in place, and we were always going to do it, but I think COVID just accelerated it. Was what we call recap, which is on Sky Q, where you can join the game if you join the game at 30 minutes in, and you press the red button, and you can literally just press each highlight and do that through your Q box and through your TV. So not on an iPad or on a phone where it's been done before, but to do it on the TV. And I use that all the time because there's so many live games on at the moment. You can't watch them all. So actually, when you do join it, to be able to just pick up and see what you've missed is really handy. And that's something, as I say, was accelerated hugely due to COVID. Oh, I can't hear you.
No.
Mike, can you hear me still?
I can hear you, Duncan. Yeah,
great.
Hear Sadie. Shall I ask you a question?
We'll have a chat. Yeah, go on. Ask me a question. We can't hear you, Sadie.
I'm gonna. There's one question from the audience. Should we ask that?
Oh yeah, go on.
Okay. So, audience question from Jack Willis: are clubs helping to work with broadcasters to give better access? Team arrivals and flash interviews after the match are regular things, but can more be done?
Yeah. Okay. Well, as soon as you asked, I'll try and answer that. Yes is the answer. I mean, but broadcast. I think everybody. It's one of those things. Everyone's kind of united to try and help each other and try and make things better. As far as better access, I think it's difficult to say we're getting better access because of all the restrictions. It's actually more difficult to try and get the access that we used to have. But what they are doing is doing everything they possibly can. Nobody's using this as an excuse to sort of batten down the hatches and say, no, you can't come in. You can't have anything. Absolutely, everyone's trying. The clubs are being very open and look, health and safety has come first, and protecting the multi-million pounds, business that is the Premier League. And I keep talking about Premier League and football, but comes first. And so if there's any dangers or any concerns around anything from a health and safety perspective, it's locked down very quickly. So it has made it more difficult, there's no question. But the clubs have been very, very open to trying and to trying to do things differently in order to make sure we're not missing out and the customers aren't missing out. We have a question here that says, I think consumer choice changes. What do you think will be kept in the future? So what have you done at BT that you think you might keep?
Definitely the match day experience in the app will be great, and we're going to roll that out to more sports. Clearly, we would hope to have natural audio back. We would hope to have all of this crowds back in. But I think what's interesting actually about remote guests, I think that will stay. I think we're all slightly, I guess, squeamish about bringing in people on mobile phones and Skype, etc. And I don't think that was helpful. I think now we've overcome that through necessity. I think we'll all feel that actually it gives you such a wider net. I mean, you saw him in one of our videos getting Kenny Dalglish in on the Premier League, drinking champagne. We might have thought twice about that if he was on a mobile phone before, and now that's gone. So I think that will be an enhancement which continues as well.
Yeah, spot on. I totally agree. I think there's an acceptance now for just seeing something, actually accepting that it may not be as good as the broadcast quality that people have been used to, but actually if I can see it, I'll take it. And I think we've all learned that. Sadie, are you back?
I don't know. Am I back?
Yes, you are.
Yay, thank you. See, look, I just threw it out there just to see who would present as well, just in case there was a shorter presenter. Well, I think, unfortunately, I think we're out of time. One quick question for you both at the end is, what about other sports? Is there another sport that, you know, that we're not doing this for yet, but you feel that needs it or the fans want? More importantly, is there another sport that the fans really want more engagement through all the things we've been talking about?
So as in all the added extras that we've delivered in Premier League.
Exactly. I mean, I'm a huge golf fan, so
yeah. Oh, well, golf's an interesting one. So obviously it's Masters Week, right, in November.
Yeah.
We've got Masters, you know,
I'm
on this
not
week.
disturbed from tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So we've looked at doing, you know, putting the augmented audio into golf. Doesn't work actually, because it's one of those sports that I think you can, when you watch football, when you watch rugby, when you watch boxing, I think you get lost in the moment of what you're watching, and you can quite easily forget that there's no crowds there, and because of the motion. And golf is such a still sport for the majority of the time, and that what you hear and what you see is so important to getting that at the same time. And we tried it on various different events and really looked at it and just thought, you know what, it's not adding anything here, and actually I think we're taking away again. And because I say offering choice is key. If we could offer choice on everything, then you just do it anyway and say, right, we'll have it with the augmented and have it without. But there's only so many channels you've got, only so many ways of paths of getting these things out of, you know, from OBs and out of studios, and you can't do it with every single thing. So the decision was made that actually it's better without, and actually could we gain more, and actually more mics into the play, hear from the caddies, hear from the players. The Masters is a pretty poor example of saying where you're going to add things on, because, you know, Masters and Augusta are probably the most, I'm going to choose my words carefully, protective of their brand and of their sport, and it's very difficult to do anything, in all honesty. But yeah, we're looking at ways of enhancing where we can't in other areas, definitely.
Yeah. Mike, quickly, as Mike can start shouting.
Yeah, I just think if you can't have what's optimal, you have to do something different. And so, you know, putting microphones in the corners in UFC and in boxing to actually listen in more to instructions and hear what fighters are being told, you know, things like that have been really successful. So if you can't have what you'd love to have, then you have to offer the fans something different.
So thank you guys very much.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me. Cheerio. I'll go and let the dog in.